Welcome to the new world of animal allies, the doctors, volunteers, pet owners and other surprising visitors who are out there making a difference. In the UK, Dr. Jess Gower operates on Lucky's torn knee ligament, while animal helper Margaret Coates opens the door to alternative healing. In this week's How To, equine expert Liz Grant explains the best way to choose a horse. And Animal World investigates Africa's black and white rhinos.
Mr. Philpott adopted his dog Lucky just 4 months ago from Battersea Dogs Home in London. She's almost 10 years old, beginning to suffer from a few medical problems. Recently, she's been troubled by a painful knee ligament, which ruptured a few months ago. So Mr. Philpott has brought her into the Blue Cross Animal Hospital for treatment. Today, Lucky will be taken care of by Chief Veterinary Surgeon Dr. Jess Gower.
How's she doing? It's the wrong.
The Blue Cross is a charity offering support to people who can't afford medical treatment for their pets.
Having a dog that is there needing you to get up in the morning, needing you to feed the dog, needing you to take him or her out for a walk, I think is really, really crucial. And it then becomes a very close relationship that psychologically people are then very dependent, mutually dependent on their pet, and would be immensely stressed if they had nowhere to turn.
When I come in, I've got 2 dogs, and they both go mad. They're running all over the place and licking, and it's a wonderful welcome.
Dr. Jess first saw Lucky soon after Mr. Philpott adopted her. She diagnosed the ruptured knee ligament and recommended rest as the best treatment. Unfortunately, Lucky's knee seems to have deteriorated and now requires surgery. Today, Dr. Jess is operating, so she adds Lucky to her list.
You're going to miss her tonight, aren't you? If you want to give us, we usually suggest you give us a ring between 4 and 5 o'clock, and just see how she's doing. But if I'm not too busy, I'll ring you anyway. So if you haven't heard from me by 4, have you held her for injections before? No. Right, if we have the bottom over here. Are you all right holding? Are you not worried?
She administers a sedative to relax Lucky before her operation.
Oh, done that one. Well done. Second one. Good girl. What a clever girl.
It'll be the first time Mr. Philpott has been without her since she came to live with him.
Come on in, Lucky. Come in, mate. I'll speak to you later, Mr. Philpott.
She's very nervous.
Oh, she'll be fine. They actually settle quite well in kennels, and she'll have a nurse with her all day.
Okay, thank
you very much. Speak to you later. Good boy.
Lucky is left to rest while the sedative takes effect. Meanwhile, it's Ruby's turn for some attention. An abandoned kitten with a sore paw, Ruby is being fixed up before he goes to a new home. Dr. Jess anaesthetises him before inspecting his injured paw more closely.
His 2 middle toes have been damaged. He was presumably caught by the toes and hanging by them. So with all his body weight hanging, it stretched the nerves in his armpit so that for some time this leg was actually paralysed. But with time, the nerve function has come back, but he's left with 2 damaged toes. We need to tidy up this very damaged toe and take it off at a healthy joint and then close it over, so he'll actually be missing that toe.
The procedure will only take a few minutes. It's a simple operation and will help Ruby to walk more comfortably on his damaged paw.
He's going home with one of the veterinary nurses who works here at night has taken to him on her night duty, so he's going to go home and live with her.
After he recovers, Ruby will be ready to leave his temporary home at the Blue Cross for good. The surgical team is now ready for Lucky. She's very calm from the sedative, and in just a moment she'll be fast asleep.
I can feel it's a problem knee. It's slightly crepitant. It's a slight crunchy or arthritic feel when I move it. And it's quite a thickened knee as well, which is typical really of a knee that's had a cruciate rupture for some time.
The injured ligament means Lucky's knee joint is unstable and moves abnormally.
The cruciate ligament going across the knee, just exactly the same as in a human knee, stops the joint from doing anything but flexing and extending. And when it's ruptured, which has happened to hers, then we can do other movements.
Before going to theatre, Lucky must be shaved to reduce the chance of infection. Her knee is then x-rayed to see how arthritic it is. Antiseptic sterilises the area of incision and Lucky is ready for surgery. For Dr. Jess, this is a routine operation she's performed many times, but it still requires a high degree of concentration.
So we want to do two things today. One is that by putting a prosthesis in we can increase the stability of the joint and reduce the abnormal movement that the joint's making. And the other thing is it gives us a chance to look inside the joint and see if there's any injury other than the ruptured cruciate ligament to deal with.
She checks the ligament and the cartilage cushioning in the joint for damage. She removes the injured parts, then stabilises the joint with tough nylon thread to hold it firmly together like a healthy ligament would. Throughout the operation, a nurse monitors Lucky's vital signs. Before closing the wound, Dr. Jess checks how well Lucky's knee is moving now that it's been fixed.
There's absolutely no movement at all other than just flexion and extension.
The operation is a success. In Animal Doctors Part 2, Lucky begins her recovery and an anxious Mr. Philpott arrives at the Blue Cross Animal Hospital to check on her progress.
Animal Line is a sanctuary run by writer Carla Lane. It's home to a menagerie of creatures. When one of its residents is sick or injured, as well as conventional treatment from the sanctuary's vet, Animal Line also uses alternative therapies.
Hi, Margaret. Hi, Carla. Nice to see you again. Brilliant. We're going to do some magic again. Yeah, we are.
Margaret Coates is a complementary therapist. She uses her hands to heal sick and injured animals. Jimmy the Shire horse is getting old and suffers from a number of ailments. Margaret treats him regularly.
Jimmy's got some neck and back problems which the vet has been treating. But the important thing is that it's not a substitute for veterinary advice or care. Any animal that's got a problem must be seen by a vet. And doing healing, laying the hands on to channel the energy, is complementary to any advice that the vet will give. Placing the hands on, just feeling for the energy. It's like putting your hands into picking up all the instruments of an orchestra and just feeling for where there's an imbalance. The most important thing is the intent of the healer. It's this feeling of wanting to help, of a compassion and of a love.
The laying on of hands is a healing technique that has been used for centuries. It involves the transfer of the healer's energy into the patient through touch.
There are certain things to look at that give a sign of healing being received. And one of the areas is the breathing rate. Now we need to just observe because this can change through the healing. Usually it will get slower. He's also showing another sign of the deep relaxation of the healing. Resting the back foot, he's getting a little bit unsteady on his legs, just wobbling a little bit. We've got an endorphin reaction in his eye, which means his eye looks sedated, he looks sleepy. So I'm just feeling it feels much better balanced. Energy feels actually as though it's flowing more freely. Jimmy looks very, very relaxed now, very peaceful.
It's not just horses that can benefit from this treatment. Old Boy the dog is next in line.
We can give healing really for any ailments or conditions. So with somebody like this dog, we would be treating for age-related, maybe arthritic conditions. Certainly, definitely give healing for any animal where there's been a change in the household or there's some traumatic incident in the household, because animals will feel that emotionally. I would put my hand on the chest of the dog here. It's a very strong energy centre on the chest called the heart chakra, so we can access right through into the whole of the body on all levels through placing the hand here. So I'm now feeling that change in energy through my hands. As he's showing the signs of the healing happening, I can actually feel it now through my hands. I'm feeling changes, waves of energy. Now as I'm giving the healing to old boy, they're just signs that he's responding, just feeling. If you look at his eyes, same as the horse, we're just getting this endorphin release, flickering of the eye. Just a sign that he's feeling the sensation. He will be feeling a tingling, a warmth in his body as the energy starts to flow.
As Margaret has shown, complementary therapy isn't just for humans, and it can be a very valuable addition to the conventional veterinary treatment. For Carla and all at Animal Line, she is an essential part of the team. After the break, Animal Allies looks at the best way to choose a horse. And Lucky the dog begins to recover from his surgery.
Owning a horse is a lifetime commitment. They can live up to 30 years, longer than most children live at home with their parents. Animal Allies Guide to Choosing a Horse. Liz Grant is the manager of the Blue Cross Equine Centre and believes buying a horse is a decision that shouldn't be taken lightly.
If you were thinking of taking on a horse or pony to look after as your own, there's lots of things to consider before you take the big step and bring one home. First of all is facilities where you would keep a horse or pony. You need to consider how expensive they are, not only to buy, but to keep.
Aside from the day-to-day cost of housing and feeding the horse, consider the ongoing expenses. These include vet bills, insurance, tack, grooming equipment and clothing. There are so many choices when it comes to choosing a horse that it's important to do some homework. Different breeds suit different needs.
When choosing a horse, you need to make sure that that breed will suit your abilities and the amount of time you've got to spend with your horse. It's very easy to get persuaded by flashy manes and fast trots, but make sure you have really thought about how good your riding is. Ask other people before you go and buy your horse.
Novice riders should choose a horse that knows the ropes, whereas more experienced equestrians can go for a younger horse.
Once you find your new horse and it's the right horse for you, you will get lots of fun both looking after your horse and caring for all of its needs, its food, its stabling, its clothing, and also out riding. And the fun and friendship that you will both get will be fantastic.
So for this week's Animal Allies How-To, consider the costs of buying and keeping a horse. Find suitable stable facilities. Enlist the help of a horse expert when choosing the horse. Research breeds and choose the horse according to riding ability.
The rhinoceros is a majestic creature. Despite its powerful, almost armour-plated frame, it has a quality about it that endears itself to us. In Africa, there are two kinds of rhino. The black rhino and the white rhino. The names are somewhat confusing, as neither of the two are black or white. They're both, in fact, grey. The white rhino got its name as a result of a mistranslation of the word vida, which means wide, for wide-mouthed rhino. It has a much wider mouth when compared to its cousin, the black rhino. It's thought that the black rhino derives its name from the black soil that it's usually found wallowing in. The two can also be distinguished by the fact that the black rhino is smaller. While white rhinos will generally tip the scales at around 2.5 tons, the black rhino is a lightweight at just over 1.5 tons. But despite their appealing looks, rhinos are far from approachable. Of the two, the white rhino is generally considered to be less aggressive. The black rhino is renowned for being extremely irritable, and humans are well advised to steer well clear of a 1.5-ton armour-plated animal in a bad mood. Especially as the black rhino has notoriously bad eyesight. However, their aggressive nature is justified, and as a species they are well within their rights to be extremely intolerant of man. Rhinos, both black and white, are seriously endangered. They have been hunted almost to the point of extinction. Between 1970 and 1992, the number of black rhinos in the world decreased by an amazing 96%. The rhino's horn is the prize that the poachers are after. Some people believe that this horn, which is actually a mass of matted hair, has special medical properties. As a result, thousands of these magnificent creatures have been slaughtered. Even though hunting these animals has been against the law for many years, the financial rewards prove too tempting for many poachers, and the game wardens have to be on constant alert for potential danger. But it is not all doom and gloom, and in some areas at least, the white rhino is thriving. At the turn of last century, the white rhino population had diminished to less than 100 in the Umfolozi region of South Africa. 100 years later, and the same area boasts an impressive herd of 2,000. The plight of all species of rhino has been aided by the National Parks Board in South Africa. They've allowed some of these endangered giants to be exported to various wildlife parks and zoos around the world to take part in breeding programs. These captive breeding plans have helped to swell the world's population of rhinos. This is just the first step in a very long and very hard battle, and there's still a long way to go.
With the operation a success, Lucky is returned to the kennels to recover. Soon after, she begins to wake up. The nurses keep her comfortable with regular injections for pain relief.
Well done, well done. Yeah. Make you feel a bit better, innit? She's very bright. She's come round quite quickly from the anaesthesia. She looks fine. She looks like she's doing okay.
Anxious about his dog's well-being, Mr. Philpott arrives at the Blue Cross to see Lucky and find out how she is. He's relieved to find her looking so well.
She's still under sedation, I think. But she looks fine. Yeah.
He leaves for home, where Dr. Jess will call him later to report on Lucky's surgery.
Mr. Philpott, whose dog Lucky we operated on today, is probably actually fairly typical of one of our clients. He has two dogs. He had one that he'd had for some time, and then he took Lucky in when she was in trouble, in need of a home. And although he has family, they don't live near to him, so he's living on his own with the two dogs. So they're a very important unit, the three of them together. But when something goes wrong, like Lucky damaging her knee, then he's very dependent on us being there to sort things out, and that's not a problem, it's what we're here for.
With another day almost over, Dr. Jess finds time to call Mr. Philpott.
Hello, Mr. Philpott, it's Jess Gow from the Blue Cross. Hi, I'm just ringing you before I go home to let you know how Lucky's doing. You popped in to visit her briefly this afternoon. Her surgery went very well. She does have a ruptured cranial cruciate ligament, just what we expected.
The news is all good. Although arthritic, Lucky's knee will now be a lot more comfortable to walk on. She'll wear a lampshade collar for several days to protect her stitches, and with plenty of rest and restricted physical activity, her knee will slowly recover in strength. Lucky will be monitored overnight, and in the morning she'll be ready to go home.
And the fact that we're here and we're secure and we're always here and they know we'll do our best, I think is an immense relief to people. It means that although an owner can't afford private veterinary fees, if they're otherwise a good owner, they can enjoy their relationship with their pet, knowing that we will look after any medical problems.
In the next programme, the new world of animal allies continues when Karen, the baby orangutan, undergoes life-saving open-heart surgery. And there's an amazing discovery in the waters off southern Turkey, a small group of rare monk seals.
There are ways to make a difference.